Hey, what's up, worship teams? Brandon Dempsey here. Thanks for joining me on Substack and Facebook. So, if you have or you are watching this video right now, that's because you became a member of either clicking on the subscription link to Substack or subscribing through Facebook, which is a brand new community that we're doing. And if you haven't seen it already, when you subscribe to either platform, you're now going to get the full entire article of what I write every day, as well as videos, content, podcasts. I will say though that if you become a member on Substack, you're going to get more content, a little bit more than what you would get on Facebook. There's specials that we do, like there's going to be special meetings and training and videos that I will do only on Substack. But if you want to become, and let me just say, I think that's like maybe $5 a month on Substack. If you want to be a member on through Facebook, because that's your medium and that's what you work around with every day, that's only $2 a month. And I do $2 also because we have a lot of international friends. So go to Facebook and you'll find our site. If you're, I'm saying this for the Substack people, and if you're a Facebook person, then you find us on Substack and look for worship team training. So I'm going to be giving you guys more content, training content that I usually teach at all the workshops that I do. Over the past decade, we've trained about over like 5,000 churches, and we're into about 32, 34 countries. And I've taken a lot of time just this past year, really, as you know, because you're part of this community now, if you're watching this video, I've taken a lot of serious attention to writing. I used to do a lot of that back in the day, and I kind of got away from it because I was doing more video, more audio. Now we're shifting back to do more writing, but now I'm in a great season where I'm able to do both, more writing, video, recording podcasts, and other content and training. So really happy about that. So as you're looking at the video, you're seeing the behind the scenes. Yes, this is my partial studio. This is where I do like my podcasts with Tony Guerrero, Rich Kirkpatrick, and Sharia Bissonette. Sorry, Sharia. And this is my other workstation computer. I have a music production room that's in the other side of this, and that's like a full music room where everything else is made. So that's great. But I wanted to come to you today. Our topic is to talk about the stress of Easter. Now, I just did a short podcast on this, and that was a lot of fun because we find ourselves now carrying a lot of weight. And what I mean by that is each week as we do our Sunday services, and let me just say this too. Yeah, let me get through this real quick. We're going to find opinions. We're going to find conflict of people that don't like our stuff, period. Even here at Easter. And you think, well, how that happened, Brandon? Well, because people are human. And this video too that I'm going to say, it's kind of funny. I'm actually re-recording this video because I made a huge mistake. I was doing the podcast, and what you'll see coming up is I'm doing both audio podcasts and video at the same time for Facebook subscriptions and also Substack subscribers, okay? But I had the camera going the wrong way. So I recorded this amazing 30-minute podcast on audio and didn't turn the video camera around. It happens, right? And that's I thought God just chuckled about that because it's very similar to how we do worship services, right? We want the best. We do our excellent methods to get there, and we have everything just right. But what happens when things do fail? Now, if you're following me on Substack, you can see that I wrote 2 articles this past week. One is Holy Week Walks in Worship. Holy Week Walks in Worship. I did that yesterday. And another one was Never Let Opinions Run Your Ministry. And I feel like both of them are the same, because when we walk in to worship, we are not only carrying our weight of what happened during the week, but what about those who come to worship, our people? What kind of weights are they carrying? And for us as leaders, volunteers, whatever, we're walking in with an enormous amount of, man, I need to get this right. We need the lights cued. We need to have this person show up. We need to really work on that bridge section. There's all these different thoughts that happen because we want to make everything the best. And that's the way it should be. We should pursue excellence. But excellence also is not to be a measuring stick for perfection. And that's where I found myself in, as I told the story in the podcast. And I'm going to upload this podcast for you so you can hear the whole entirety. But that's where I found myself walking in the Holy Week years ago. It was at a church that I deeply love, that I've been there for close to 17 years, off and on. I was their full-time worship pastor. And then when I started worship team training, throughout my traveling, I could not do both. So I chose to travel and do that. And then I was like a freelance worship leader, and still did things for my home church. And then I came back in the late 2020s, before the turn of 2020, before COVID. I was their worship pastor again. And I remember there was years ago, there was an awesome tent embrace service that we put together. We had about probably 80 people involved, and that consisted of like a full orchestra. We had about probably, how many did we have? 15 to 20 players. And then we had a choir of about 40. And it was just amazing. I mean, we had the lights, we had paintings done. We had the whole worship center was also reconstructed. We had renovations going on. It was dark, it was black. We had great lighting and stained glass windows. And I mean, it was just amazing. But I found myself walking to that week thinking that, yes, this is for God, but this happens to you too, right? Along that journey, you think, yes, this is for God, but I got to do this, I got to do that. This has to fall in line. I need to get this person. And we go through these checklists. And if we don't keep our spirit and heart in check, it can easily come down to a expectation list of ourselves, maybe from others, but this is where the everything needs to be right factor comes in. And I remember a dear associate pastor who was one of my favorites, the most goofiest guy I've ever served with on staff ever. And he was a little older than me. He saw I was going through a hard time, because I remember I was just sweating, and I was having a bad day. I wanted everything to work out perfect. I got news that 2 people were going to be out, which meant I had to hire another person for the orchestra. Music arranging, did I have to rearrange the parts because we're going to be missing a person, or we need to add a person? It's just all these, it just felt so awful at that time. And then he came beside me. He sat down with me. He just said, "Brandon, I see that you're doing so many great things." And I was like, wow, this conversation sounds familiar. It sounded like Jesus addressing Martha, right? And he just said, and he didn't mean to. He just like, "I see you doing these great things, Brandon, and they're awesome, but you don't have to do this." And when I thought about that, at first I kind of shrugged it off, like, yeah. But then he said this to me, and this is what really hit me hard. He goes, "Well, I see you carrying all this weight in what we're doing in this production, but have you considered the weight that Jesus carried into Holy Week?" I mean, how can you argue that? I mean, I wanted to cry. I felt so heavy. The lump was in my throat. It felt like it was going to drag me down to the floor. And I said, "You are so right." And I felt so bad before God. But yet, my friend looked at me. He said, "You know what? But that's okay. Because God sees what you're doing, but you just need to let him handle all that weight that you're trying to carry, because that's not for you. He's the one that walked to the cross. He's the one that was brutally beaten for us and died a horrible, horrendous death. And then Sunday, through the power of God, he rose again, our risen King, our Messiah, who was promised to come from the Old Testament. Now God's completed that covenant perfectly. That is why we celebrate, and that is the weight that we no longer have to carry anymore, except the joy of the Lord through that victory. And then he said to me this too. Besides, Brandon, who owns the worship service? Who are we doing this for? And it was kind of like, I was just like dumbfounded over and over and over again. It was like God was just like hit me in the head. And I'm like, okay, Jesus, I get it. I didn't have it before, but I got it now, This is what you need to remember, worship leaders, who you're leading this for, who you're leading worship for, and who are the people in the room that you're leading this for. All those things matter. You're going to have failures. You're going to have comments made. That's just part of the territory. But you should never let those opinions and those personalities run your ministry, because that's not why God called you there. People are always going to have their demands. I mean, it's like, this is to be truthful. You guys that have been doing this for a while, like me, but you younger guys, I'm sorry to say this, but this is what you signed up for. Yeah. You want to lead worship? You want to lead people? You want to be the big dog out there? Well, there comes the matching responsibility. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It means that it's good. But it means that there's a lot of learning that all of us have to do every day. I mean, I'm still learning things from that very day I told you about from Good Friday, the Tenebrae service. I'm still having to think back. Even right now as I'm doing this video, I'm thinking back going, yeah, even about my own church, things that are happening tonight at Good Friday and this Easter, I am still thinking to myself back to 10 years ago, thinking, what did I learn back then? Because I don't want to repeat the same mistake. And I want God to be glorified. And I desire to have him use me. So this is Easter. This is why we celebrate. This is why the Savior leads through us, because it's all for him. He already won the victory. Our job, I said this in a video last week, our job is to open the gates. Our job is to let the King in and do what we can to help people worship so that God is exalted. Plain and simple. So let this video encourage you today. Maybe this was the reason why the video didn't work, and I just did the whole entire audio so that you can have the benefit, blessing of hearing the audio and let God speak to you there. Plus this video, because I'm saying things in this video that I didn't say in the audio, and vice versa. So now you get like a double shot. So you're welcome, by the way. But I leave this all to you so that you can leave everything at his feet when it comes time to worship, and that means even now. So allow God to lead through you. Allow Jesus to be glorified. And the weights that you're carrying, God's going to work it all out. The services always work out every week. Jesus will always be glorified. It doesn't depend on us. That's something else I had to learn that I'll address in another podcast video. Until then, I want to say thank you for subscribing, being a member here on Substack and also Facebook. And I pray that God's blessings are with you. And I know that he is. And I'm giving this video right now free for everyone just to watch it so that you can become a member to see the deeper things that I'll be showing and teaching you, things that I teach at a workshop level. And I hope to have you be inspired to make great strides in your team for better growth, deeper growth, and to build a better team. So thanks for joining me here. I love you guys, and happy Easter, happy Good Friday. May all the services go well, that God's glorified and he's using you to do it. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about allowing the Lord Jesus to lead you both in life and in worship. See you next time. Bye, guys.